Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. In this one I'm going to be doing my discussion and analysis for the Suki Alone preview pages. We finally have them. We've waited a while. They've come out a little bit later than usual. We usually get them about 2 months before release. It's more like 1.5 months before release in this case. I was expecting them about 2 weeks ago, but they're finally here. We have 8 preview pages from Armchair Books, aka Whistler Books. Link in the description to the Suki Alone listing so you can find the preview pages yourself. But as you can see here, I will be going through them on this video. So I checked this website yesterday, they didn't have them, and the reason that they're here today, the reason I was checking so often is because a few days ago I was able to request a review copy for Suki Alone. I've been waiting for this for quite a while, so it went up, and obviously what that means is that means the digital copy is available, that if they can give the book out for review, they have the digital edition available to put a part of it up as a preview. So that's why I was checking so regularly. With regards to the review copy, I never know what way it's going to go. Sometimes I get approved like within the first couple of days. That hasn't happened this time. Other times it's taken a few weeks. Other times I've just been ignored completely. Even though I say the same thing in every review copy request, it's very random if you do or do not get chosen in this situation. So I don't know if for sure I'm going to get that review copy or not. So, you know, if I do, I'll do a non-spoiler review. If I can't, it of course means I'll be waiting until the book's released to put out my full thought. But there'll also be Google Books preview pages much closer to release. But actually, it could be within the next few weeks, so you know we'll get more pages before release as usual. But anyway, let's get into the analysis here. So page 1, very interesting. You can see Azula's right here. So we have a Fire Nation airship about to go to the Boiling Rock. A couple of prisoners here who are about to be sent off to the Boiling Rock. Azula says, "So any last words before I send you to the Boiling Rock?" And Suki gives no answer. Really like the art here of just like Suki standing her ground, and then you have some other random prisoners in the background. So next page, and this is an interesting one. This whole scene here is clearly an aspect of why they chose to do this story, is that in the invasion part 2, where the gang confronts Azula, Sokka, you know, Azula teases Sokka about the idea of like, oh hey, you're Sokka, aren't you? My favorite prisoner used to talk about you all the time. She always wanted you to come rescue her, but she lost hope. It's a bit of a paraphrase, but that's the core of, you know, what was said here. And everyone's always questioned of like, oh well, Azula captured Suki, so I guess she was responsible for putting her in prison, so it is possible that they had a conversation, but it doesn't necessarily sound like it's super truthful, and so we get this scene to kind of explain that. Giving me the silent treatment, that's no fun. Don't you have a message you want to give to someone, like that boy with the boomerang? What's his name? Saki? Suka? Sokka. Whatever, I know. I should tell him that you're desperate for him to come and rescue you. I'm sure he would if he could. Then it could capture you both and take turns tormenting you. Doesn't that sound fun? I don't need anyone to rescue me. So really interesting initial exchange here. The references here are kind of cool. So Suka is of course the name of the Sakasuki ship. That's what everyone pretty much uses. But if you were to sort of reverse that and put sort of Sokka first and Suki second, I guess it would be Saki, S-O-K-I, but they spelled it S-O-C-K-Y. Still, it's kind of a cool reference that it works out that way, of like the fake names for Sokka are actually the ship names for Sokka and Suki. But that's just cool. Now, immediate question I would have here is, how does Azula, at this stage in the story, whenever it is, know that Suki has any particular connection to Sokka? She knows Suki has a connection to the group, but why Sokka in particular? That's the question. Now, a lot of this depends on where it is set, because to me, the only way Azula can possibly have information that Sokka and Suki are in a relationship is if this scene is set after 220 Crossroads of Destiny, because in that episode, Sokka is talking to Ty Lee, and Ty Lee is like, "Hey, you're pretty cute," and she's dressed up as a Kyoshi warrior. So Sokka's like, "I'm kind of involved with Suki." So through that connection, Ty Lee potentially telling Azula might know what this is. But as we'll get to, it's kind of hard to fully say when this scene is set, because Suki is captured in 216, which in itself is sort of a flashback episode. So at some point in between 213, the Serpent's Pass, which is, the last time Sokka and Suki see each other before the Boiling Rock, and like 216, Appa's Lost Days, or I suppose basically the start of 217. So at some point between those episodes, is that where this happens? Because Azula has to, when she captures Suki, bring her to prison. Is this happening like immediately there? Or is this much later and Suki's been held in prison somewhere and this is just Azula specifically coming to see her favorite prisoner, to see her off to the really rough prison because she wants to mess with Suki? I wish they'd be a little more clear about that, and maybe they will be over the course of this book, and we'll find out about, Azula has, taken Ba Sing Se, and we can picture when it is there, because that's probably like the big line that would tell us something. Because if it is set before then, how would Azula possibly know that? Like I said, when she captured her, like, she knows that, like, okay, Appa and Suki, like, know each other. And I think Suki at some point in that episode shouts out to Appa about, like, go find Aang. So she knows she has a connection to the group, but there's nothing particularly to lean Azula to, like, oh, Sokka is your boyfriend, and that's someone you would want to give a message to. Because, again, Sokka and Suki only know each other from 2 episodes at that point, and that's 104, which, again, she couldn't possibly know information from that episode. And then 213, which none of the villains really interact with them in. So, the only way I can see this making sense is that it is set after 220, when, realistically, that information would be potentially on the table. But maybe that's just nitpicking, but I think it is important to note the detail in the sense of, again, they're doing these comics specifically because they don't want to tell the big stories, and they just want to fill in a few little gaps and have fun character stories. Why are you making us question so much of this stuff? You're avoiding telling the complicated stories, but you're almost overcomplicating the smaller stories. And look, to some people this won't matter, but I think the details are actually important in terms of what way does this work out. But anyway, we'll continue on. You'll be completely alone at the Boiling Rock. None of the other Kyoshi warriors will be there, so no sisterly bonding in captivity. I want you to experience just how hard Fire Nation prison life can be, fighting your fellow prisoners for miserable scraps just to stay alive. Just think, only a short time ago, you were the leader of the Kyoshi warriors, respected and feared, but now your sisterhood is in ruins, thanks to your failures. Now you get to watch from a prison cell while the Fire Nation rolls over the Earth Kingdom. I'm doing all of this, especially for you, because you're my favorite prisoner, and you deserve the best the Fire Nation can offer its enemies. Well, since you're no fun at all, I'll have to make my own, when I track down the Avatar and his little group. Have fun cooling your heels in prison while I destroy your friends. And Suki is led off onto the airship and heads off to the Boiling Rock. So, pretty nice scene. I wonder, is there any more to it? There probably isn't. Will there be another conversation later on in the book in terms of, like, will Azula come back in and mess up what Suki is doing? Perhaps. I think that would be quite interesting. But still, you see what Azula's trying to do here. Suki is standing her ground, not giving Azula anything that she wants. So, okay, well, I can't mess with her. I can't get Suki to sort of beg in front of me. So what if I just, leave her with the idea that I'm going to capture all your friends while you're in prison here and can't do anything about it? Everything is about trying to, get one up on Suki sort of mentally and just, torture her just that little bit. And, just the fact that, going back here, what she says she's going to do to Suki, she actually does. But it is interesting to see, like, Suki doesn't need anyone to rescue her. At this point, she feels she can handle it, she can take it. It's also a case of, like, none of the others know she's been captured. Like, this is secret up until the invasion. So, you know, Suki holding out hope to be saved is something that could be impossible, because she never knows if she's going to see them again. But it's, you know, also just her standing her ground against Azula, which is pretty good for the character, definitely. But anyway, we could, and there's clearly, I think, a few pages they've skipped over here, which is fine, in that I guess we will have to wait for the actual book to come out to see Suki arriving at the Boiling Rock, because I'm guessing they're going to have her meet the warden. The warden from the Boiling Rock. They'll have May's uncle, I think it is. They'll have a scene like that happen where she walks out, this is the Boiling Rock. They'll have the big sort of intro, like arriving on the scene, the nice bit of scenery, seeing the comic art version of the Boiling Rock. There's no way they're just going to hop straight into Suki goes up to talk to one of the prisoners. This could be quite a substantial, you know, skip of pages, but there's a lot of planning that I guess has to happen. But I think they can get through a lot of content pretty quickly. So anyway, we have this Fire Nation prisoner here. Seriously, what animal made this? No animal with taste buds, that's for sure. Hi, I'm Suki. Good for you, but unless you've got something edible to offer, I don't want to know you. Actually, I might. Well, what you got? Introductions first. I'm Suki, and you are... Names be you. What landed you in the Fire Nation's least favorite people resort? I'm the leader of the Kyoshi Warriors. The Kyoshi Warriors? Is that some kind of Avatar Kyoshi tribute group? Sort of. We're an elite group of women warriors who have devoted our lives to Avatar Kyoshi. We left our homes to join the cause against the Fire Nation, and that led us to fight Princess Azula. She won, unfortunately. So, despite the situation, Suki, in I guess her early stages of being in prison, is actually doing pretty okay, and is being super friendly to the other prisoners because she needs to get people on her side. So this is pretty cool. We're getting to see this aspect of Suki, is that, like, yeah, she's super friendly and good with people, and, you know, this is very in character so far. That's much more impressive than what landed me in here, which was... I stole things, mostly. Seems strange that simply being a thief would put you in a prison for the Fire Nation's most wanted. It was more who I stole from and what it was that landed me at the Boiling Rock. The last thing I stole before ending up here was the heart of this Fire Nation kid who happened to be the son of a prominent general. The kid's mom didn't take it well, that her precious baby had fallen for a known Earth Kingdom thief, so I got dumped here. I learned the hard way to never underestimate the wrath of a Fire Nation mother. We see it in the background here. So it's a pretty cool that they at least give you a little bit of flashback for what happened here, of just the guy trying to start a relationship with her and then it not going so well because she's an Earth Kingdom thief. So, you know, a very kind of petty reason to be dumped at like a maximum security prison, basically. But still, the whole Fire Nation mother situation, I suppose we know more about because of Heiran from the Kyoshi novels, but still, it gets that idea of just, you know, like, ooh, yeah, the wrath of a Fire Nation mother. So that's pretty cool. So Suki's like, I'm sorry you lost your boyfriend. He wasn't my boyfriend, he was just some guy. Anyway, I think we've been introduced enough. Where's the grub you promised? Here? That's it? These plants might not look like much, but they're rich in nutrients and tasty as well. They'll help sustain you. I hope so. It's not just that the food tastes terrible, it's not enough to keep a healthy body going either. It's just how the Fire Nation keeps the prisoners subdued. How can you think about causing trouble when you're half starved all the time? And of course we immediately cut to, I guess, people who've been in here longer, who, you know, you can see are pretty thin, and they're not going to be much of a threat if they do try to rebel. So this is more of the Fire Nation's tactics of just to barely keep the people going so that they're alive, they're not killing them, but, you know, they can't do anything really. So Suki's like, I have an idea, come with me. Can I finish my food first? So we cut to where she got the plants from. They're growing through the stone here. So she grabs some of these. They're trying to hide it, of course, from the guards, and then we find out this spot is hidden from the guards, so we can see what we have. So we found so many, thanks for your help. Come on, let's divide them up and have a meal. No, we need to save half for seeds. Seeds? You want to grow a garden in the middle of prison? If we plant some of these seeds, more will grow and we'll have a stash of food for later. Maybe we can even grow enough to share with the other prisoners. The other prisoners? Who cares about them? I care about them. You said it yourself, the poor food makes it impossible for them to fight back against the Fire Nation. If we can get everyone better food, there's a chance for pushback against the guards, and maybe even a chance for us to escape. Okay, you're the boss. And that's where we end the preview for now. So, interesting. So we get the scene with Suki talking to Azula, which is obviously referencing what we saw in ATLA Book 3. So that's pretty nice connection, even though when it's set, either makes it a continuity problem or a little bit of a stretch as to how Azula has the information that she has. But it's minor, but I think it's worth pointing out because there's been a few moments like that in the comics where it's been like, that's not quite how it works, but okay. Like Katara and the Pirate Silver with the whole, how much people know, like Aang learning about like the Fire Nation's view on air nomads before the Book 3 scene. It was a bit like, why are you doing that right now? And that's just another case of like, you clearly based the book in a way around that scene that was rumored to have happened between Azula and Suki. Why is it so confusing that we don't know when it takes place? Now, I'm hoping there's a scene in the book that makes that clear, but otherwise it's fine. I'd maybe be like a little critical in the writing department of like, I think Azula says the word fun like 4 or 5 times across the kind of couple of pages that she's in, which is a little bit like, okay, I guess fun is just meant to be more of Azula talking about like torturing people like mentally and stuff like that, but I would have preferred maybe a little bit better word choice as we went through it. Like, it's fine to use it maybe once or twice, but like the few times that's here, it's a bit much. New character here, and I appreciate even just the little backstory, 2 panels, like 1 page effectively. That's nice to get across that Suki, I suppose, is actually sort of a threat to the Fire Nation as a leader of a kind of warrior group. So it kind of makes sense why she's in here as being like a leader. But just to find out that this is sort of how petty things are in the high up Fire Nation is that you can get people thrown in this maximum security prison just for doing tiny things like that. And it prompts the question of, like, say someone like Chit Sang, who's actually this really fun and kind of nice character as we move to find out. What did he do to get put in the boiling rock? Like, what did most of these people do? Sure, I guess there are actually some proper criminals in there, but most of them are probably like this, like BU and so on, where it's just, you're from a different nation and you did something minorly wrong, in you go. That's the way the Fire Nation handle things. Otherwise, we see, okay, Suki building up at least one friend so far, but I guess she'll have more people join her. They're already creating the idea of, well, we need better food to be able to, make an escape attempt happen. So that's something they're going to do. So I'm guessing we're going to have some sort of like a secret garden type thing. She gets more people to trust her, and then I'm guessing we'll see this all be broken up, because this character BU is not in the Boiling Rock. Now the question is, like, how is this going to happen? Is Azula going to come in and break this all up? Is the warden going to do it? Are the guards going to find out? Or is BU going to steal? Because they have set up the idea that she steals things. So what if she kind of betrayed Suki and, got Suki in trouble or something like that? That could be one way to go. I don't think necessarily maybe a lack of trust on Suki's part with other people is necessarily the way they want to go. So it probably would make more sense for it just to be that something out of Suki's control breaks up her plan, breaks up her group that she's forming. That because I think the description for the book talks about that. If we go into it here, Suki's captured by the Fire Nation, brought to the Boiling Rock, a grim prison in the middle of a dormant volcano. Separated from Team Avatar and Kyoshi Warrior sisters, she decides to build her own community among the other prisoners. But it's going to take more than an encouraging word to build trust among so many frightened people. draw on all her resources to do it, and even that might not be enough. So we now have a better sense for what that is. The food is going to help. In prison, when they get fed terrible stuff, Suki giving them slightly better food is an immediate way to get the trust of more people around her. So the big thing is what breaks this up, because when we see Suki at the start of the Boiling Rock, she's on her own. She doesn't look like she's particularly happy. She looks lonely. What happens to all the people around her? Do they get sort of caught with this extra food and get punished? Does Suki get even like further punished and put into like a separate part of the prison? There's a few things that we don't really kind of know the specifics on just yet. But it's clear that Suki goes from feeling that she can make an escape attempt happen by herself to sort of just accepting her fate to a degree until Sokka and Zuko arrive on the scene. So that's going to be an interesting one to see it all fall apart for Suki. It's just that things are going to get so out of control that she can't do anything. And it would kind of be interesting if it was an Azula who came back just to disrupt her plans. And that would be kind of interesting. But yeah, they are the preview pages for Suki Alone. In the comments, let me know what your thoughts are so far. How do you view the whole Azula knowing about Sokka and Suki situation here? Overall, just our first look at the comic from a visual perspective. How do you like it? Where do you feel they're actually going with this community? And then, like I said before, I'll do a video on the Google Books preview pages when it goes up. And if I do get the review copy, if that request gets approved, I will do a non-spoiler review basically as soon as I get it. That will be an early review if it happens. So look out for that maybe, but again, like I said, I'm never sure if I'm going to get those review copies or not. It seems like it's a pretty random situation. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Suki Alone preview pages, but that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.